Dr. Fayne Fry is a New York-based board-certified dermatologist with over 30 years of experience of working with thousands of patients. She has a keen interest in chemistry and skincare formulation. In this interview, we talk about the clinical experience and research that led her to the conclusion over what the real fountain of youth is when it comes to skincare. Dr. Fry, thank you so much for joining me on the channel. It is really a pleasure to have you here.
It's my pleasure to be here with you, Claire.
And I gathered from the book that you were pretty unimpressed with the skincare industry as a whole. And I wondered, to what extent you think the consumer is being played by an industry that's kind of, tapping into our insecurities and inventing new skin problems all the time to provide solutions for, as opposed to an industry that's actually just responding to incredible demand from consumers who actually want to be sold to and are pushing the industry further and further in pursuit of anti-aging solutions. Where do you think the balance lies there? Who's driving what?
The skincare industry is a fantastic industry. It makes great products. And we all know this. It makes sunscreens, which are beneficial. It makes moisturizers that we need, cleansers. It's an industry that really makes really good products. So I don't want to villainize the industry.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the marketing has gone mad, and it's a business. Skincare companies have to advocate, as you know, for their shareholders. And as any good business does, they want market share.
Yeah.
And they will push the boundaries to get that market share. And my goal is to educate. We have great products from a great industries that are advocating for shareholders, and we have another unique situation with skincare in that the consumer doesn't understand the ingredient listing, so it's a blind item, right? How many people understand isopropyl myristate or triethanolamine or this is what's in these products? And yes, you pick on individual ingredients, but for the most part, you don't know what's in those skincare products. So they have a huge advantage. Yeah. And so my goal is to advocate for the consumer. And yes, I try to make people think about things they don't necessarily think about, certain principles of science. And I ask people to keep an open mind.
You've tested out a lot of things over the years, and I think you have a website where you make recommendations. Having tested everything, what do you use day to day? What's your skincare routine?
Well, my skincare routine is very simple. I live a healthy lifestyle. I mean, that's my answer. I get good nights of sleep. I'm an avid runner every morning. I get plenty of exercise. I try to eat a healthy diet, although I do cheat sometimes.
We all cheat.
Even a huge dose of laughter. I don't have any science to prove laughter is great for you, but I am a firm believer that laughing is just fantastic.
And so you don't go in for, I noticed in the book actually that you said potentially we over cleanse our skin. Now, I am somebody who just has to wash my face every day, twice a day. So I try and, use a mild cleanser and all the rest of it. But do you cleanse? Presumably you moisturize. Do you moisturize every day or what?
So I cleanse with water, right? There's no science that shows you have to use a cleanser on your face. This is, again, more cultural than science. And a lot of the ads are more about sales than science. And I have to preface that with, I'm not talking about hand washing, right? Hand washing, there's great science at hand washing around food preparation, using facilities. Hand washing has probably done more for world health than any drug on the market. But aside from hand washing, actually putting a cleanser on the face, there's very little science that shows it's beneficial. And cleansers, remember, are designed to remove things. Now, your desire is to remove the dirt and the sebum and the oil. I get that. But if you have healthy skin, and I'm not talking people with acne or inflammatory skin conditions, women or men with healthy skin, that cleanser can't distinguish moving the oil and the dirt from removing the lipids and the proteins that are helpful for your skin. And so you get a drying effect and sometimes an irritating effect. So do you need to use a cleanser? No, I use water-based makeup. I use in the shower, I splash water on my face and it all comes off. I don't really need a cleanser. I haven't used a cleanser in decades.
Interesting. Water-based makeup, and it just washes off with water. And do you moisturize?
If I'm dry, look, skin has to function optimally. And I believe there's plenty of science that shows adequate skin hydration yields healthy skin. And your skin is a barrier, right? It protects us from microorganisms, bacteria, mold, fungus, allergens, ultraviolet light, and it will perform best if it's hydrated. My analogy is when you go for a long car ride, you like to put air in your tires. Again, when it's maintained well. So if your skin is dry, and you'll see flakes or scales, you'll know it's dry.
Yeah.
Sure, you should moisturize. And a well-formulated moisturizer, the skincare industry makes lots of them. And they're affordable. So I moisturize when and if I need to moisturize.
That's really interesting. I mean, I'm tempted almost to give it a go. It's just so far from where I've come from. I've simplified my routine, but I'm thinking, my goodness, that really is that's going the extra mile if I just didn't use anything on my face and just rinsed in the shower and put my sunscreen on, and it would be interesting to see what would happen to my skin, that's for sure.
Give it a shot. You'll see. It's like it's just not necessary. Again, these are cultural, and I'm asking people, think about it. Who decided we needed cleanser on our face? Now, if you have oil-based makeup, you might want to put a mild cleanser on your face because you're going to have a really dirty pillowcase and you're going to be doing a lot of laundry.
Yeah.
So that's a separate issue. But as far as skin health, remember, I'm talking about wellness, and I prefer to discuss and emphasize wellness over beauty. Not that I don't have anything against beauty, but to me, wellness is priority.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting one. I was going to ask you about that because, I mean, I've just turned 50, and I made the point in a video about my routine at 50 and so on, that I have simplified it over the years, but also I think it's kind of disingenuous to talk about skincare and what gets results if you're not talking about lifestyle, because I think so many of the big skincare influencers, particularly in that kind of anti-aging sphere, so much of what we see is lifestyle that they're wearing on their face. It shows on their faces, and that goes, for diet, exercise, mindset, the lot. I know that you think that is important as well. Do you think it should almost be integrated into dermatology? And maybe this is something that you're doing, so that if somebody is coming in with a particular issue, you're looking at the root cause of it rather than just what you can put on topically.
I think most programs will teach the skin is an organ and it parallels a healthy life, a healthy body. I think that's inherent in quality dermatology programs. What isn't inherent is the study of chemistry and the study of cosmetic formulation, or the study of cosmetics per se. Cosmetics in this country, in the United States, are articles that intend to adorn or to beautify. They don't intend to change the structure or function of a particular organ. In this case, we're talking about the skin. Nor can they mitigate, treat, or prevent disease. And it's very similar in the UK, right? In the EU. So what we're talking about here are cosmetics, not the tretinoin, but certainly retinol and all these anti-aging products that you mentioned. These are cosmetics, which by design, skincare companies aren't intending to change the structure or function of. They can't by law. Yes, they try to push the limits, but they can't really intend to change anything. And so, we talk about this anti-aging thing, and you said as you hit 50, and I'm now 61, we really have to open our eyes about this aging process, which is a process. It's been made into a battle, right, by our marketing and our culture, but it's really a process. It's not a battle, and it's inevitable.
But
I think as you get older, that's what you come to terms with.
Yeah, I think that's right. And, sometimes when I'm talking about my, anti-aging routines and all the rest of it, people come on and go, you can't fight gravity, and, you're getting older, get used to it. And these are just some of the nicer ones. But I do think that people now understand that that through lifestyle, and to a certain extent through how you treat your skin, you can look and feel better for longer. And I think that's where a lot of people want to get to. And that's maybe not so much a battle, but they recognize there's a lot they can do. It doesn't have to be a rapid decline.
Lifestyle is key. Genetics, we can't also downplay the role of genetics. If you won the genetic lottery in healthy skin and good skin, God bless you. But and you have no control over that, but you have control over lifestyle. And that includes not only what to do, I mentioned exercise, healthy diet, sleep. We have to discuss what not to do, which includes smoking. We can talk about the effects of sun, which is what your questions are always about with tretinoin. Everybody's battling that the damage from sun. Well, prevent the sun. The number one cure for the anti-aging, photo-aging signs on the skin is prevent the damage to begin with. So if we can incorporate that into our young people, they won't be in the position we're in to try to reverse something that we could have reversed by wearing sunscreen many moons ago.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned tretinoin there, and in the book, you pretty much say that prescription retinoids are not what they're cranked up to be. Although you point out they can be very helpful for treating certain conditions like acne, but you add that the studies show few cosmetic benefits are really supported by clinical results. So, I mean, do you see no benefit at all for using prescription retinoids for anti-aging? Or would you recommend them for a limited period of time? Or how do you approach it with patients?
My experience, I've been doing this a long time. Again, I don't sell anything. I don't work for any particular company. I, again, try to emphasize wellness over beauty, but I have patients who come in and they want to try something. I have no opposition to them attempting to use tretinoin, the prescription strength, gold standard anti-wrinkle cream, if you want to choose that. But my personal clinical experience mimics, which is the most compelling information, which I find is actually on the package insert of the book itself, of the drug itself, and it's in the book. When you look at the studies, they talk about 4 different clinical studies. Only about 10% of women who used tretinoin with sunscreen got a moderate improvement. Now, they used 279, I believe, individuals who used the tretinoin with sunscreen and compared that to 280 people who only use sunscreen. It was a great study because now you're comparing sunscreen with retinoids, which is what a lot of people want to do. And when you see the difference, it's minuscule. I'm not saying it's none. There was some benefits to tretinoin in a small minority of people, which mimics my experience in my office. So after 30 years, I will tell you, there seems to be a small group of women, and I want to say 10%, who love tretinoin.
Yeah.
They love it. They swear by it. They want to keep using it. And to which I say, fine, use it. But I can tell you something, almost everybody, not only in my experience, but also in the studies that were reported by the FDA, almost everybody experiences dryness, redness, cracking, some sort of what we call retinoid dermatitis. To a point where in the studies, about 32% had to stop temporarily, or they began using steroid creams to mitigate against this reaction, which for some is temporary, and for others, it goes on for months, if not longer. So now I have to weigh the benefits, the advantages, and the disadvantages of a product that will have a 10% improvement, or you have a 10% chance of having a moderate improvement. Now you might want to use steroids. I have people come into my office, they're using fluorinated steroids on their face. Talk about skin thinning. There's evidence to show fluorinated steroids after a week can cause some skin thinning.
Were they using that to allow them to continue using tretinoin?
Yes, but it could go on for weeks and months.
Yeah.
So you really have to question whether the advantages of trying to make this tretinoin work for you over periods of time. And that's my point. There are people who are going to use it, and there are going to be people who like it. And I'm okay with letting them try it. But it's not most people. It hasn't been my experience. I was one who personally, I tried it for months and months and months. I never got used to it. I was red. I was flaky. I'm like, what am I doing this for? It got to a point where the benefit didn't outweigh the risk. Remember, it's time, energy, and money, and I just choose to spend it doing something else.
Yeah. I mean, similarly, I used it for about 10 months and I saw a lot of benefits to begin with, particularly in tightening pores, just general skin clearing and smoothing. I did, but I felt that my skin was still breaking out into patches of dryness and was sensitive, and it just wasn't going away. So
are you using it now?
No, I'm not.
Your skin looks fantastic.
Thank you. That's what good lighting does as well.
It's also interesting. I talked to a lot of my colleagues.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'd say over half of them don't use tretinoin.
Dermatologists.
No, I mean, some do, but a lot don't. So if these experts all believe that this is the really end all be all, why aren't the overwhelming majority or many of them? I don't have an exact number. Why aren't they using it? I'm not using it. I was on the phone this morning with a very, very bright dermatologist from Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. And I said, are you using it? Nope.
Did she say why?
There are two reasons people don't use it. One, they don't like the irritation.
Yeah.
And two, they're not motivated to do it, which I think it's related. You're not motivated because you don't find the advantages so outweigh the disadvantages. So, again, I just think clinically and anecdotally, there's so much time, energy, and money worrying about whether it thins the skin or thickens the skin. Yes, in a petri dish, there's no doubt tretinoin has affects gene rearrangements. I'm not arguing any of that. And there are benefits. There's benefits to keratinization, sebum production. So in somebody who has acne, for example, where the benefit will outweigh the risk because they have an actual medical condition, I'm on board with it. I think it's a fantastic option.
Yeah.
But we're talking about using it for a trivial skin imperfection, which in my opinion, and I have science to show some of it, could also be improved with sunscreen.
There aren't a lot of long-term studies when it comes to tretinoin. So there's a lot of long-term prescriptions where people are being prescribed this for decades, but we don't actually know what the long-term impact is. And maybe it's not very much. I don't know, but I find it curious.
But you know what your clinical long-term experience has been. And I would say my experience, most women, not all, but most women's long-term clinical experience is not positive with tretinoin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's one that's going to run and run. Without the studies, it's just going to, it's just going to roll on. And there's always going to be the camps of people who just absolutely love it and swear by it. And the other people, the ones I'm more concerned about are the people who, I think I was probably in that camp for a while, who've just felt that they had to keep going because that's the thing to do, because it's the gold standard. So you're going to do anything, you're going to do this.
You're succumbing to cultural norms and peer pressure and marketing. This is what I have an issue with. You're fabulous, you're accomplished, you're kind. You're all the things that matter. And I don't think you need to spend all this time, energy, and money on some trivial skin imperfection. So that's exactly the big picture.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much where I got to. And, I thought I've had enough of this, throwing this one in. Sunscreen. It's just whenever I talk about sunscreen on the channel, if I did something dedicated to sunscreen, it would be guaranteed to bomb because people just think, oh, that's boring. Sunscreen, that's a boring basic. But I mean, have you seen studies that point to, in the same way we look at something like tretinoin and talk about collagen synthesis and all the rest of it? I mean, are there some exciting things that sunscreen can do for us?
There are. In 1995, Boyd had a great study. They compared sunscreen versus a vehicle in 46 patients, and there were significant differences in solar elastosis, which is the breakdown of elastin in the dermis. Mm-hmm. Which is where most of the wrinkle formation is occurring. It's the breakdown of the proteins, right? The collagen and the elastin in the dermis. And so here we have great studies that show the benefits. Adele Green, she did a great study. When was her study? A while ago. She took 900 individuals, 450 of them used sunscreen every day, and they were told to. The other 450 weren't told not to, because I guess she would have deemed that would have been unethical if she said, don't use sunscreen. She then compared with microtopography, texture, and all. And the ones who used sunscreen for 4.5 years had no evidence of photo damage, aging on their backs of their hands at all.
Wow.
And there's a lot of good evidence, but you hit the nail on the head, Claire. It's not sexy sunscreen.
No.
It's not easy. It's not a quick fix, but it is the answer. And there's science to show it. And you don't have to worry about all that irritation and all that putting steroids on your face. And I think the benefits, the advantages of wearing sunscreen every single day, 365 days a year, outweighs any risks. So, it's not the sexy answer. That's why you get the backlash you get.
You mentioned your colleagues earlier when we were talking about tretinoin and some of them not using it. But I mean, what response did you get from colleagues to your book? I mean, do you think most of them were on board with you, or?
Yeah, I get the quiet calls. I get the calls like, wow, this is great. I don't sell anything. You have guts to do this. I've gotten so much support from individually, colleagues, pathologists, cosmetic chemists. people who are interested in science, people who are interested in being open-minded, they have welcomed my book, my philosophy. Patients, every day I get emails, messages from consumers. I have just simplified my life. I feel liberated. Remember, these are cosmetics, Claire. You remember, I talk mostly about cosmetics more than just tretinoin, but it's liberating to not have to feel you're inadequate because you don't use the anti-wrinkle cream or the anti-aging cream or the brightening cream or the eye cream and the neck cream it's out of control. And these are all moisturizers, these products.
Yeah.
Not tretinoin. That's a prescription drug. But the feedback has been great. I've had reps from some of the major companies come into my office and work with me and thank me. You are so right. And again, these aren't bad products. They're good moisturizers, which we need if you have dry skin. And they make great sunscreens. We need this industry. We need it very badly. We just don't need all the marketing hype.
Yeah, there is just such there are enormous number of products out there now. An enormous number of brands.
Yeah, and people who are worried about so much chemical exposure. Oh, I have a real simple answer for you. Stop using so many products. You just don't need them.
In terms of moisturizers then, from all these things that you've tested, you've got a site. What remind us of what your site's called again, where you test the different products?
Yeah, the site is called Phryface, Phryface, phryface.com. And I have a corneometer in the office, which is a machine that measures through electrical conductance charge, and we can measure how much water content. It's a reflection of water content in the skin. So we basically test on baseline. We tell our patients not to use anything for 3-4 days. They cleanse the way they normally cleanse. So we test them the way they live in normal customary conditions. We then use 2 different products, one on each forearm every morning and every evening. And they go home for a week and do that. And they come back and we retest with corneometry how much water is in the skin. And when you do these comparisons year after year, decade after decade, I've got hundreds of comparisons. And I've tested everything from anti-aging creams to eye creams to night creams to the typical ones, retinoid creams, retinol, retinaldehydes. I'll tell you 2 things. How well these work, in my opinion, really has to do with how good of a moisturizer it is.
Right.
And 2, there is absolutely no correlation between what you pay for a moisturizer and how well it works. Yeah. And that's just after decades of doing this research, I can tell you those 2 things with pretty good certainty.
Yeah. So, what comes out top?
Oh, there's a lot of really good ones. I've started actually putting it on the website that this comes, measured highly. I just finished one this week. Curel tested really well. Curel, yeah, it was a healing one. It did really well. It's really low humidity now, and it is testing really high in more than one patient. So we don't just do one patient. I like to do several to make sure it's not just an outlier. Like I said, good science has to be reproducible. And then another well-known brand didn't do so well that people are paying a lot of money for. I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but there's and you know what? I'm not going to put that product on my website. So it's just it doesn't get you adequate hydration in New York anyway in February.
Yeah.
So that's at least it's objective. It's an objective way to measure effectiveness of products.
Yeah. And I'm sure there are products. I talked about this with a skincare founder actually who sells very inexpensive, well-made skincare products, and she was saying that so much of what you pay for with the really expensive ones is just the marketing and the packaging. That's what you're paying towards. And we know that, but
right now they do throw in some ingredients. Peptides are expensive. We talk about hyaluronic acid. It's a great molecule, but it's expensive, and it doesn't do anything more than glycerin, which is inexpensive. But it's got that great marketing pull, and it does increase the cost of a product because it's a more expensive. I think it's like $200 for I forget how big the vial is, but compare that to glycerin, which you can get for $2 for the same amount. It's magnitudes more expensive. So, but for most part, you're right. The price of a product has more to do with marketing, packaging, and sometimes fragrance. None of those things, I think, makes a difference in the efficacy of the product.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I know that you'll be busy, and I'm going to go and have a sneak peek now at the site to see which moisturizers are coming up top.
Listen, it's been my pleasure. I hope you enjoy the book. Visit the website, and it's always in good skin health to you. You look fantastic.
Thank you. And you too. You take care. Thank you for talking to me.
You're welcome, Claire. Have a good day.
So when it comes down to it, we don't have to pay a lot for the greatest anti-wrinkle cream of all. It's the one that's probably going to make the biggest difference if we use it over the years. So I'll list a few in the description below, along with a few of my favorites. And for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.